Welcome back to the Short Game Podcast. It is Tuesday, March 17th. You are completely burned out right now because you think hustle is a valid life strategy. You are trying to outwork your own disorganization. If your fitness routine, your work output, or your business falls apart the second you have a bad day, you do not have an empire. You have a fragile house of cards. Motivation is for amateurs. If you want to actually win, you need an operating system. Today we are reading The Ultimate Manual for Building a Machine That Runs Without You, Traction, by Gino Wickman. I do not run NexYear based on how motivated I feel when I wake up. We are building a master playbook and a custom AI tool to handle the strategic thinking. I take the logistics out of my head and build them into a machine, so the VIP assets get delivered flawlessly every single time. An operator replaces emotion with mechanics. Let's get into it.
What's your name?
My name is Tom Shelby.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
King Ragnar. That is my name.
Yo soy Pablo Emilio Escobar Gaviria.
I'm Batman.
This is Jon Snow. He's king in the north.
My name is Asax Schrader.
The name's Bond. James Bond.
Antonio Montana.
My name is Patrick Payne.
My name is Walter Hartwell White.
My name is Gustavo, but you can call me Gus.
Welcome back to the Short Game, episode 27. I am your host, Drew Miner. We are right in the middle of the Untouchable Operator Week. If you are new here, grab a beer, pull up a chair, and listen closely. Today we are talking about the biggest lie you have ever been sold by internet gurus, life coaches, and people who sell courses on how to sell courses. That lie is the hustle mindset. I absolutely hate people who think hustle is a valid life strategy. If you tell me you are grinding 24 hours a day, I'm not impressed. I just think you are deeply unorganized and probably a terrible driver too. Hustle is not a real strategy. Hustle is just a symptom of broken systems. If your entire life, your business, your fitness routine, or your study habits fall apart the minute you get sick or have a bad day, you do not own an empire. You just own a fragile, exhausting job. You do not have a system. You just have a wish. Motivation is the most unreliable garbage on the planet. If you only execute when you feel like it, you are going to lose to someone like me. You need a machine. You need an operating system. That brings us to the book focus for today, which is Traction by Gino Wickman. This book is the Bible for taking your disorganized mess of a business and turning it into a machine. Wickman introduces the entrepreneurial operating systems to help strengthen and re-energize your business. It addresses the reality that sheer will and brute force are no longer enough to survive when you want to reach the next level. White-knuckling your way to success is for clowns. You cannot build an enduring, successful organization that lives beyond you if it is designed to crumble the minute you step aside. Wickman breaks down any organization into 6 key components, which are vision, people, data, issues, process, and traction. If you master these individual elements, you can integrate them into a powerful framework that runs whether you are motivated or not. Let us dive deep into the first critical piece, which is vision. Most operators have a vision, but it is stuck inside their own heads. You have to get everyone rowing in the exact same direction. If you get everyone rowing in the same direction, you can dominate any industry against any competition. Wickman says you need to distill your vision down by answering 8 specific questions, like identifying your core values, your core focus, and your 10-year target. Your core values define your culture and who you truly are as people. If someone does not share your core values, they are going to weed themselves out, or you need to fire them. You cannot build a machine with defective parts. Once your core values are clear, you have to define your core focus. You have to decide what business you are in and be in that business. He who chases 2 rabbits catches neither. You establish your core focus and do not let anything distract you from that, especially shiny new opportunities. Then you set a massive 10-year target. This is the larger-than-life goal that gives everyone in the organization a long-range direction. Let us move on to the people component. Wickman emphasizes that you have to surround yourself with good people, which means getting the right people in the right seats. The right people are the ones who share your company's core values, fit your culture, and make your organization a better place to be. But being the right person is not enough. They also have to be in the right seat. That means every employee is operating within their area of greatest skill and passion, which Wickman calls their unique ability. To figure this out, you use a tool called GWC, which stands for Get It, Want It, and Capacity to Do It. Get It means they truly understand their role, the culture, the systems, and the pace. Want It means they genuinely like the job without you having to overly motivate them. Capacity means they have the mental, physical, and emotional bandwidth to actually execute the job well. If they get a no on any of those three, they are in the wrong seat. You cannot keep them around just because you like them, because keeping people around just because you like them is deeply destructive. If you have the wrong person in the right seat, they might be highly productive, but they do not share your core values. They will chip away at your culture with sly comments and bad attitudes, and ultimately, they have to go. You have to make the hard choice and experience 36 hours of pain. The hours leading up to and including the termination are painful, but afterward, you realize it was the best decision for the greater good. Next, we have the data component, and this one separates the real operators from the spectators. Most entrepreneurs fly blind with no data to gauge where they are or if they are heading in the right direction. They wake up at 2 a.m. because they cannot accurately measure the pulse of their business. To try and figure it out, they walk around the office, talk to 5 different people, and gather subjective opinions. Subjective opinions are completely useless. You need hard facts to make real decisions. Wickman talks about using a scorecard, which is a weekly report containing 5 to 15 high-level numbers for the organization. This frees you from the quagmire of managing personalities, egos, subjective issues, emotions, and intangibles. Reviewing numbers regularly lets you spot problems early instead of reacting to financial statements after the fact. A profit and loss statement is just a trailing indicator, meaning its data comes after the fact, and you cannot change the past. With a scorecard, you can actually change the future. Wickman insists on weekly activity-based numbers that predict your future outcomes, rather than just reporting the past. Even better, he argues that absolutely everyone in the organization needs to have a number. Numbers cut through murky, subjective communication between a manager and their direct reports. Numbers create accountability because accountability begins with clear expectations. When an employee is clear on their number and agrees that they can achieve it, you have pure commitment. If you want to win, you have to measure your inputs. Now let us look closely at the issues component. Your ability to succeed is in direct proportion to your ability to solve your problems. Most leadership teams spend their time discussing the heck out of everything, but rarely solving anything. What is draining your energy is not having a lot of work to do. Rather, it is having unresolved issues. Wickman introduces the issues-solving track, which involves 3 simple steps: identify, discuss, and solve. First, you have to clearly identify the real issue because the stated problem is rarely the real problem. The underlying issue is always a few layers down, and usually the root cause involves people. Once you identify the actual root cause, you discuss it openly. This means getting everything on the table in an open environment where nothing is sacred. You fight for the greater good of the company, not your own ego or turf. Finally, you solve it. The solution becomes an action item, and when that is completed, the issue goes away forever. You have to make decisions like you are going to the Super Bowl. More is lost by indecision than by wrong decisions. You cannot rule by consensus, because consensus management will eventually put you out of business. Next up is the process component, which Wickman says is the most neglected secret ingredient in business. Most people think process is boring, but I think losing is boring. Your processes are your exact way of doing business, and successful organizations see their way clearly and constantly refine it. Applying it correctly results in simplicity, scalability, efficiency, and profitability. You will not get to the next level by keeping your processes in your head and winging it as you go. You have to document the way you want everything done. Wickman introduces the 20-80 rule, where you document the 20% of the process that produces 80% of the results. You do not need a 500-page manual. Capture the basic steps at a high level, so your people stop skipping steps. Put checklists in place where possible, and make your processes bulletproof so that no one can screw them up. If you get hit by a bus tomorrow, someone should be able to step in and pick up right where you left off. This is how you turn a chaotic job into an actual franchise prototype. Finally, let us look at the traction component. Vision without traction is merely hallucination. This is where you bring your head out of the clouds and get down to the ground. To gain traction, you need 2 disciplines, rocks and a meeting pulse. Rocks are your clear, 90-day priorities. This idea stems from the phenomenon that human beings lose focus roughly every 90 days. If you try to focus on everything at once, you will accomplish nothing. Establish the 3 to 7 most important priorities for the company for the next quarter. When everything is important, nothing is important. Then you need a meeting pulse. Wickman shatters the myth that all meetings are bad. Well-run meetings are the moment of truth for accountability. He introduces the Level 10 meeting, a weekly meeting designed to keep your leadership team focused on what is important. You review your scorecard, you check your rocks, and then you spend 60 minutes identifying, discussing, and solving issues. You do not just talk about problems, you solve them and make them go away forever. This structure ensures that the machine runs flawlessly, no matter how anyone is feeling. Now, let us connect the dots. I want to bridge the gap between this theory and your reality, whether you run a startup or are training for a marathon. The universal hook here is that you are probably burned out because you are trying to outwork your own disorganization. You wake up, drink 3 cups of coffee, and try to force yourself into a state of high performance using nothing but pure willpower. That is a massive rookie mistake. Motivation is completely and utterly unreliable. If your fitness routine, your study habits, or your work output crashes the absolute second you feel tired or uninspired, you do not have a system. You just have a wish. You are relying on emotions to do the heavy lifting of execution. Emotions fade rapidly, but mechanics endure forever. Let me give you the operator reality using my own life and business as the example. I do not run NexYear based on my daily mood. If I relied on how I felt when my alarm goes off at 4 a.m, NexYear would have folded a long time ago. Instead, I am actively building a master playbook. I am creating a custom AI tool to act as a strategic advisor for the company. I am not keeping the logistics in my head. I am actively taking the complex processes out of my own brain and hard-coding them into a literal machine. Because of this rigid structure, our high-end VIP gifting logistics happen automatically, flawlessly, every single time. It does not matter if I am sick. It does not matter if my top guys are having a bad day. The machine runs the play, and the standard never drops. This applies to you, no matter what your goal is in life. This brings us to the universal sovereign standard. An untouchable operator replaces motivation with mechanics. If you want to level up your life, you have to build your own personal operating system. You need to define your own core values and absolutely cut out the people in your life who do not align with them. You need to track your own data. Stop guessing how much you study, how much you lift, or how much you sleep. Put a scorecard on your own life and track the weekly activity-based metrics that actually predict your success. You need to document your own processes, create a rigid, unshakable routine so that your baseline execution happens on absolute autopilot. When you rely on grinding, you will eventually burn out. When you rely on a system, you scale. Here is your blunt takeaway for this week. Stop relying on motivation and build a machine. Look at your life right now. If you get sick for a week, what completely falls apart? Whatever breaks is where your system is weak. Stop bragging about how hard you grind and start looking at how sloppy your processes are. Hustle is just a symptom of a broken machine. Build your personal operating system, lock in your daily habits, and take your emotions entirely out of the equation. Tomorrow, we are going to look at why your fear of looking stupid is keeping you poor. We are reading The 50th Law by 50 Cent and Robert Greene. We are going to break down supreme fearlessness and why you have to deal with the chaos of the world exactly as it is. Stop relying on motivation and go handle your business. See you tomorrow.